Mr. President, all of us in the Senate are faced with making difficult decisions almost daily. However, today marks one of the most difficult decisions I've been faced with during my 16-plus years in this body. After wrestling with this decision for some time, I've decided not to seek re-election in 1996 and to retire from elective office at the end of my term. Simply put, the time to pass the torch to another generation is near. I've undergone a series of medical examinations by specialists in recent months. While I have problems, nevertheless, my health is good, and I'm assured I face no predictable crisis. I continue to work as I have throughout my adult life. While in Washington, I spend 6.5 days a week in the office, and while in Alabama, a similar amount of time is devoted to Senate duties. My health problems have not slowed me down, and I don't expect any change in my work habits in the foreseeable future. This has not been an easy decision because I have always enjoyed campaigning, and the desire to once again hit the campaign trail is a powerful urging. I've been particularly gratified with the overwhelming offer of volunteered support from Democrats, Republicans, and independents alike, urging me to run again. I believe I can be reelected, perhaps not with the high percentage of more than 60% of the votes that I've received in my last 4 primaries and 4 general statewide elections, but I'm confident I could win by a good majority. There are numerous factors that have entered into my decision, and there is no compelling reason to go into detail about these factors other than to say that in fairness to any who may seek to succeed me, the time to make my announcement is now. At the conclusion of my term, I will have served the people of Alabama for 24 years, and I hope that I will be looked upon as a public servant who has served with dignity, integrity, and diligence, worthy of the confidence and the trust that the people of Alabama bestowed upon me. Throughout my years in the Senate, I've endeavored to stay in touch with the people. I have visited each of the 67 counties in Alabama at least once a year, except for 1 year when I spent considerable time in the hospital during recess periods. I have listened to Alabamians from all walks of life on every conceivable issue in over 1,000 town meetings and 500 high school visits. I have endeavored to represent Alabama in a studied, impartial, and fair-minded manner. My record certainly indicates at least an independent streak. I know Alabamans know that my decisions were based on what I thought were in the best interest of my state and nation. While some may argue or disagree with my decisions, I was convinced that I was right, and I believe most Alabamians felt that nothing more could be expected of me. My service in the United States Senate has been rewarding, and I trust a benefit to the people of America and to Alabama. I'm indeed grateful that America faces no immediate threat to her borders from foreign military powers. I'm particularly proud of the role that I played in rebuilding our armed forces and military strength during the aftermath of the Vietnam War. This commitment on the part of our nation contributed to the collapse of the old Soviet Union and its communistic philosophy. This commitment proved itself again during the Persian Gulf War. With my own experiences in World War II and observations since that time, I felt compelled that we must at all times endeavor to obtain lasting peace, and that the only road to achieving this goal was and is through strength. I'm particularly proud of my efforts in other areas such as agriculture, judiciary, education, improved race relations, technology advancements, medical research, family values, the war against crime and drugs, the space program, ethics in government, and many other fields. The agricultural community, while small in number, is considerably better off today than when I came to the Senate in 1979. During my years on the Agricultural Committee, we have been able to craft farm policy which provides market stability and allows U.S. farmers to aggressively pursue international markets. At the same time, these farm programs have dramatically reduced the cost to the U.S. Treasury. This year may prove to be the most crucial for the American farmers, with the well-organized effort in this Congress to abolish farm programs that have worked well for the consumer as well as the farmer. As most of my colleagues know, I came to this body after serving as Chief Justice of Alabama. I brought to the Senate a desire to achieve much modernization and reform in our federal courts. My efforts have been focused on improving the federal judicial system and relieving court congestion in criminal and civil matters. I've always subscribed to the expression, justice delayed is justice denied. We've been successful to a major degree in our efforts to achieve these goals. However, much remains to be done. This country's system of justice today faces one of its greatest threats in this Congress. The foundation of our civil justice system and more than 500 years of the development of common law are under attack, including the right of trial by jury. We will continue to battles to improve the administration of justice, as well as maintain its historic role of protecting the weak, the minorities, and the defenseless. Mr. President, for 13 years I served on the Senate Ethics Committee, 2 periods as chairman. My service on the Ethics Committee can be described with many adjectives, none of which include enjoyable. From the description of how it used to be, I would have to say that I'm convinced that the Senate has made great strides in ethical behavior and standards during my time in this body. While there is still room for much improvement, I am nevertheless convinced that senators now serving are the most ethical in the history of the Senate. During the last several decades, including the time that I have spent in the Senate, there has been much improvement in civil rights. However, race relations continue as a divisive issue in numerous ways. The path towards the achievement of equal opportunity of all persons, regardless of race, color, gender, or creed, has many miles to go. We foster democratic principles throughout the world and have seen democracy make great strides in many non-democratic countries. Yet our own democracy faces its greatest threat from within. Elected officials, media personalities, elements of political parties, and other organizations strive to pit one group of Americans against another. We must set a new course in this Congress and across the land, a course of moderation, tolerance, responsibility, and compassion. We need to return to the traditional value of just being neighborly. Not until we become genuinely one nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice to all, can this country realize its potential for true greatness. I'm proud of my staff. I've always been proud of my staff. Most of them come from Alabama, but regardless, all have worked with devotion, dedication, and professionalism. They have worked with me to assist thousands of Alabamians, and I might say also thousands of Americans outside of Alabama, in every imaginable area. Staff members seldom receive praise, but I thank them from the bottom of my heart for the great job that they have done, and a job that I know they will continue to do during the remaining months of my service in the Senate. No one knows what the future will be, but I plan to return to my beloved Alabama and devote more of my time to the people in my life that I treasure the most. My beloved and lovely wife, Elizabeth Ann, who is affectionately also known as Mike, my son Tom and his wonderful and talented and beautiful wife, Cornelia, and Mr. President, the two finest grandchildren a person could be blessed with, Wilson Carmichael Heflin and Mary Catherine Heflin. Wilson is known to his pop as Will, and he calls his sister KK because he says Mary Catherine is too much of a mouthful. I do not wish to omit from the treasured list my other friends and relatives in Alabama, particularly those in the Shoals area. I will enjoy living the remainder of my days in my hometown, for Tuscumbia, Alabama, is a wonderful little town to be from and is the best little town in America to go home to. Mr. President, while my career and work here in the Senate is yet to be completed, for I still have much to do, I nevertheless thank the people of Alabama, who I so dearly love, for the faith and trust bestowed upon me, which allowed me to serve as Chief Justice of Alabama for 6 years and as a United States Senator for 3 terms. I also thank my Creator for the blessing of health during my 13 years thus far, and for having the opportunity to serve this great nation and my fellow citizens. Thank you, Mr. President.
President.